Hello and welcome to my March Plan With Me video. February has gone so quickly, I can't believe it's March already, so apologies for the delay in getting this video up. February has just got completely away from me. Let's start with a February flip through. On that first page I've got that motivational quote, a goal without a plan is just a wish, and my watercolour tabs that I stuck in for my cover page. We've got my minimal February at a glance and habit tracker, which I've enjoyed. I'm going to change up my month at a glance, but I did really like the grid habit tracker layout, so I'll probably stick with that. This is my sleep tracker, excuse the post-it, it's just for the damp ink. I wasn't sold on the pie charts the way that they've gone, but actually the further through the month I've got, the more useful I've found it, but I still might mix it up next month, and I just need to link together those dots on my mood tracker to show that I'm then done on that too. I haven't used my budgeting spread. I've been doing budgeting in another notebook, so I'm going to drop that for March, and then obviously I have my gratitude log as well at the end. I've got another one of my quotes that I really like, every day is a fresh start, and then I have my half week that was the start of February. I really enjoyed this layout. I've been writing out things I've been doing, and then I've also written down what I've eaten and a book that I've read because I didn't have all my templates up. This was my new weekly setup style that I was trying. There were parts of it I liked, parts I didn't like so much. You can see I've penciled in a to-do list and not done it, but I did enjoy the icons down the side, and that I'll keep, but there was just a bit too much space along the bottom of my days of the week. I wasn't as sold on that, so you'll see that I didn't stick with that as I went through. On this, I was on holiday, so I didn't do a weekly spread. I'm going to finish writing down the books I read here, and then I had a gist day Sunday. I did an Instagram post I'll link to for that, basically getting everything done, a mega to-do list for that Sunday at the end of my holiday. And then I used the quote from Amanda Rachley's Love Yourself First, which she did in her February plan with me, because I had a spare page and I thought that was a really good quote to have to reflect on in February. Then I condensed my weekly spread into one page this time, as I found I wasn't using the whole of a double spread. I had a little chores tracker there. I haven't done it, so I think that's probably going to drop next week, or next month rather. I've got my books, audio, exercise and thought, and I've just forgotten to write in my exercise there that I did football on Friday, so let's just write that in. But I've separated my books and my audiobooks because, you know, I think they are separate things and I like to know which ones I've listened to. I also like my little thought box, and I went for She Designed a Life She Loved. That page is going to be my final weekly spread, and then we are into March. I designed this cover page based on something that I saw from Pinterest because I wanted to go for something slightly floral, but I didn't know what. And as I was feeling uninspired, I went for Pinterest. I've used a range of pens in this. I've used my Stabilo sort of slightly thicker pens. I've used my Staedtler fine liners. I've also used my Tombow brush pens, which I'll link which ones specifically I've used in the description. And I also used a pack of just supermarket fine liners as well, because the shades are ever so slightly different to the Staedtler ones, so while they're not necessarily as good quality, they do give that slight variation in colour, which can really help, especially when you're doing multiple shades. I also reached quite a lot for my Crayola super tips. I really like my super tips. I have got the 50 pack now, which is great. They're also quite good if you want to play around with watercolour. The only problem is they're quite thick, and I coloured in the middle of that flower and it did seep through the page slightly, so you'll notice when we turn to do my month at a glance there is a slight blue blob in the middle, which is really annoying, but these things happen when you're bullet journaling, so I'm just going to have to learn to let it slide. I coloured in some of those flowers again with the super tips. Because they're quite good with water, I might go over it very lightly with a layer of water. I haven't decided yet. I have found that when I've practiced in the back of this Leuchtturm that the watercolours have seeped through the page a bit too much, and the page has warped a little too much for my liking. So I don't know whether I will or not, but I'm definitely going to test it on the back pages, and if I like it, then I might apply it to this little cover page here, probably on those slightly larger leaves. I'm using the brush end of the Tombow there to fill in that one, as I did with the pale blue. They're also the colours that I used in previous months. So I used the pale blue at Christmas and I used that pale pink for my January spreads, which you can see in my January plan with me, which I will link down below. Then a couple of finishing touches in fine liner, and then I'm ready to write in the date and carry on. I'm going to hand over to the time lapse now for the rest of this and see you on the other side. I changed halfway through this. I had to film this video in 2 separate sections, so apologies for the fact that it might seem a little bit disjointed. I went back and penciled in and decorated a couple of spreads that I wasn't thinking about, but also it's been quite a rush this month, so some of the spreads I'm not 100% happy with, but anyway, it's all done, so let's flip through the month and take a final look. I'm quite pleased with how this cover page has turned out. Actually, I like the simplicity of it. I also like having my March at a glance on one page. I did something similar in November last year. I might decorate it a bit more, I'm not sure. And then the mood tracker, I was inspired by another post on Pinterest. I like the colouring in sort of blobs method as well as the graph method. I've done one of each so far this year, so I thought I'd try another one for colouring in, and then those boxes at the bottom I will obviously colour in particular moods so I can see when they are happening, and then I can see hopefully the finished tree going with, if we can call this a spring theme, I suppose is what I've ended up going for this month, and I can see how colourful the tree is at the end of the month. I've taken some inspiration from Pinterest. I know that I said how much I love the grid shapes for the habit tracker, and I really do, but I saw this version of a habit tracker on Pinterest and it was just so pretty, I kind of couldn't resist it, so I drew the circle out first time. I did do it freehand. You'll notice from the time lapse I didn't use, a compass or anything to make it really accurate. The only thing I did do was measure the lines out so it was roughly in the right place, so it's not immaculate, but I like it. And then I just coloured it in with a couple of flowers and leaves in a similar style to the cover page, and also I was inspired by watching My Life in a Bullet plan with me on her sort of greenery that she'd included in her March plan with me. Then a sleep tracker. I'm doing a whole page for this one so I can see when I'm getting my sleep in terms of the day as well as how much. I then chose to have a to-do page, so I've got a master to-do list for the month. I found last month my to-do list really got away from me and it meant that things slipped through the cracks. So I thought if I have one master to-do list page in my bullet journal, which I'm going to look at every day when I fill in my gratitude log and things, then I can tick things off and I can add them as I go and I'm not going to forget anything super important. I then also decided that addressing my goals the way I was in January wasn't quite working, and I kind of forgot about it in February in terms of logging it. Like, I was doing things to address those goals, but I wasn't doing it in a way that was useful. So I thought, if this way I can write down every little thing I've done to try and achieve my goals, I can always reflect on it and organise it afterwards, but at least then I have one page where I can write down everything I've done. So have I written some of this? Have I edited some of this? Have I uploaded these blog posts? Just so I can feel like I'm making progress against those targets that I set myself. Then I've got a quote page. I really like this quote page. I don't really, to be honest, like how it's turned out. I think I might have to go and add some things in. It's not as refined as I would like it to be, so I might go in and add a little bit of decoration or banners or things just to make it look a little bit prettier, because I feel at the moment I've just got words on a page rather than pretty quote. I used exactly the same structure on the next page for my half a week that is the start of March rather than doing the whole week including February. I've got rid of my thought because obviously I've got that quote on the page, but I've still got my books, audio and exercise log. I've left the pencil lines in so I don't go uneven, but I'll obviously rub those pencil lines out once the week has got to its end. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate all of the likes and comments and views. So if you want to see more of these, then I'd really appreciate it if you can like and consider subscribing. I'm already starting to think about what I might want to do for April, which sounds so far away right now, but I'm sure it will come around really quickly. I hope you've really enjoyed this. Let me know if you recreate any of these style spreads. I'd love to see them. And happy bullet journaling.